Yo, what's going on, Nomads and Drifting Podcast listeners? I'm Brian.
And I'm Monica.
And welcome to the Backspace Nomads Podcast, where we share our nerve for gaming, movies, and all the dork in between. It's July 9th, this is episode 67 of the podcast, and we want to know, what is the absolute best gaming snack?
Tell us.
All right, Monica, what's your best gaming snack? Hit me with it. What's your deal?
So I have a lot of gaming snacks. One of them's starvation. I feel like
Starvation is not a snack. It's the opposite of it.
I feel like a lot of times if I'm like heavy into a game, I kind of forget to eat, you know? So like I'm just chomping on that air and just the air and shelter, you know? Like,
is this a secret?
This is how I keep my girlish figure through gaming and starvation. No, but I do have a couple of things that I think really, really, really like get me in the mood to get some games on. And one of them is I like a little goat cheese with some salsa poured on top.
Goat cheese and salsa.
And I eat that shit with some tortilla chips.
I'm sorry, I don't know where they make tortilla chips.
They make a tortilla chips in Italy. No, I really, really do love like a good tortilla chip and just salsa, but it just goes next level if you've got some goat cheese in there, dude. You got to try it.
I'm basic.
Delicious.
I've only been doing sour cream my whole life on my salsa chips.
Oh my
goat
God,
cheese,
dude! Or you could do cream cheese too. If goat cheese isn't your thing, you know, if you're trying to budget, you can get that
I love goats.
That 89-cent cream cheese from the store rather than the
bagel cream cheese.
Yeah, just put some cream cheese. It's good. You just put salsa on it. So I think that's one of my favorite gaming snacks. That and beer.
And
yeah.
A nice cerveza for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's weird because I really don't snack when I'm playing games on the PC either. There's something about like my keyboard getting like crumbs in it and stuff. Like, so I only do this when I'm playing a console game, but like I set the day up. It's like a moment. Yeah, there you go. Shake it out. the monthly shake. I honestly I have to have a moment when I play a console game. I know I'm getting ready to get into a big story. And so I go out to the store and I purchase this stuff. It's like the most embarrassing kind of ritual for snacking. But my favorite snack to get is white cheddar Cheetos to dip into hot sauce.
White cheddar Cheetos.
Oh my God.
I've never even heard of white cheddar Cheetos.
They are fantastic. Like somebody in my life turned me on to white cheddar Cheetos and I was like, these are cool. And they're like, but wait till you dip them in hot sauce. It's a whole nother level. It's a whole nother experience for yourself. And it's a little bit of heat, Monica. It's a little much for you. You know what I mean? You got a lot of hot sauce in your mouth. That's
Brian,
dude. What's up?
Our gaming snacks are kind of similar.
Are they?
They have cheese. They have a carb-ridden funnel. Also known as tortilla chip or like the base of the Cheeto.
Yeah.
And hot sauce.
Are
you saying Cheetos or Cheez-Its?
Cheetos. Cheetos.
Oh my gosh, I've never even heard of this.
Yeah, they're kind of like puffy too. They're not like the crisp Cheetos. They kind of got like a little puff to them. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.
Is there any better gaming drink than a Mountain Dew too?
What the heck? There's like a million better gaming drinks.
What? Like what?
I don't know. What are we?
What are you sitting down with a Pepsi?
Early 2000s with Mountain Dew, where it's like people are doing extreme things and drinking Mountain Dew. No, I don't sit down with a Pepsi. I sit down with a beer and some H2O.
No. I'd rather have a Mountain Dew while I'm gaming than a beer. I don't know what it is. I need some high sugar, high octane, just like blast in my mouth.
High octane.
Yeah, I get pumped for it.
It's those commercials. You are still being infiltrated. Your brain has been infiltrated by the commercials.
So what?
Of Mountain Dew.
I like Mountain Dew and to get my hair tips dyed blonde. What about it?
Yeah.
What's wrong? You're not into that as a gamer?
I mean, I did have some blonde hair tips recently, so I don't know. I can't talk. I
I
have.
thought, you weren't looking extreme. You were looking classy. Don't put yourself down, Monica.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
Yeah, I don't ever really look that extreme. But I feel extreme when I have my goat cheese salsa dip.
That is like the, like, no offense, that is the old white woman snack of a gamer. Like, I don't know. Like, where are you playing, like, video games? Like New Hampshire or something?
Okay, you know what? If I just if I had to just pick one like more like a basic snack, it would probably be Flaming Hot Cheetos. I really like Flaming Hot Cheetos. Anytime I'm traveling, I normally get Flaming Hot Cheetos.
Yeah.
I like a good bowl of cereal too. I don't know if that's
Mm.
considered a gaming snack, but sometimes when I'm gaming, I just eat cereal all day. Okay,
Milk
like
first
it
or
doesn't.
second?
Huh?
Milk first or second?
Second.
All right, thank you. We can continue with this podcast.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm glad I passed. So, yeah, those are my gaming snacks. I don't know what I'm curious to see if our listeners have anything in
Yes.
particular that they nom on before or during gaming.
I want someone to like blow my mind with their snacks too. I want someone to like white Cheeto me, like I just did for you. I want someone to be like, I never thought of that. Like Monica's goat cheese and salsa. Like our listeners have to have something crazy out there that we're just not thinking about.
Should we, if we get some replies, we should try them.
Oh my god, you're just a good idea machine.
We should try them and then after report back on these gaming snacks.
I'll do them on the podcast. Like why wait?
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right. Tell us what you guys eat as a gaming snack. Don't say that you eat like your hamster's poop in some like, ranch sauce though, because I don't believe you. I'm not going to eat your hamster's poop in ranch. Okay.
Definitely not on the podcast.
Yeah. Not on the podcast, at least. I'll keep that on my normal Sunday.
Because ranch is disgusting.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Let's boot into our first topic of the night. Let's talk about free-to-play games, Monica. Free-to-play games are like kind of like all the rage right now, right? And there's two huge free-to-play games that are kind of like dominating the internet right now.
Oh yeah.
And those are Warframe and Fortnite. I don't know if you've heard of it or not.
Oh yeah.
What the hell is that, dude?
I'm excited.
So what? You just go to Ferris Bueller? That's your excitement?
Don't. Ooh, yeah.
Oh god. Let's talk about Warframe first.
Okay.
So Warframe is this like free to play game. Everyone on Twitch is like starting to pick it up. Everywhere I look, like people are just starting to play it more and more and more. A lot of the bigger broadcasters are kind of looking at it to kind of be like a stable game where when they're not variety gaming, they can just go back to Warframe to like kind of have something to do, I guess, right? Warframe started off as kind of a weaker free to play game that like didn't have a lot of like pay for stuff, didn't have a lot of content in it. It was really just this like small game that I honestly, a couple years ago, I kind of like laughed at it, and like I did, like I was like, oh, why are people playing this thing? It just looks dumb. But to the credit of the developers, they have been developing this game over time to the point where it's at like the top 10 most played games on Steam, which is like astounding to like build yourself into. Normally you have to have like a huge launch and then like you got to keep driving that launch home. And these guys just like creeped up. Large part because they changed their game from a Diablo based game where it's kind of like you pay up front and then you just have content to something that is more akin to Destiny, where you're kind of buying some of your loot, but then you're like leveling up and you're gearing it up and you're making yourself better over time. So I think what to me really shows from like the example of Warframe is just how the diversity of gameplay keeps coming back, because they're constantly changing this game. They're constantly giving updates to the community for people to play new content. They don't want it to get stale,
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting mainly because in a world where we have so many early access, pay 30, 60, whatever dollars, get a game that may not be finished. It feels like free to play is really conquering. And I feel like free to play is kind of the anti early access.
Oh, you really think so?
I do. I think it is. I feel like it is easy entry. You're not investing. You are going to be more interested in helping the game grow. And I feel like my consensus on it is that if you're opening up with free to play, you're committed to building a better product over time, where early access is more interested in can be more interested in a money grab.
I can see your points, but I feel like honestly the free to play model is something that lends itself to being perpetually in early access, because you can always argue that this game isn't finished. So, we're just going to keep adding these items for balance to keep everything going, but you need to buy this and do that. We're adding these new skins to keep you interested in it, so we can keep funding this thing. But they are never at a point where they're like, all right, this is a game. This is what you got. You're going to love it. They just it is a different version of early access.
Is that problematic if the game itself is well done, well funded, well cared for, and is going to continue to put out content that people are interested in playing and investing in on their own terms?
I don't think it's problematic in the sense that like you can have a perpetual free to play game, right? Or early access game. I don't think that's problematic. I think what's problematic is when developers do this, you can't hold them accountable. They can always like fall back to the thing, well, this is an early access. And the biggest example we can have of this so far is Fortnite, which is technically still, they call it early access. Every time you load it up, there's a big early access like logo on the overall over Fortnite. Like, this is early access, bros. And when in reality, Fortnite just turned Epic Games into an $8 billion company, like in the span of a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I'm not even knocking it. I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that I play Fortnite like massively, and there's a lot that I see wrong with the game. There's a lot that they're constantly changing, and they're like, well, this is trying to keep it fresh, but then it's all under the guise of, well, this is early access, so we don't even know what the game is supposed to be at the end of it.
I guess my thought process on this though is that free to play feels like a more fair experience than most early access games.
Right.
That's what I'll say, is that it feels like, regardless of if it's an early access tactic, it feels more fair.
Yeah.
And it feels like a trend, especially with Warframe and Fortnite becoming so popular. It feels like a trend that I don't mind continuing. I don't mind more games jumping in. I don't even mind indie games jumping into that space, like real smaller games jumping into that space. If it's going to be a continuous thing where you're planning on fostering a game over the course of 5 years and putting out continual content that's riveting enough, that's going to make people want to purchase in game.
Yeah. And like, I'll agree with you. I large part think free to play is a fantastic business model for gaming. I would even argue it's one of the only ways to be successful in a multiplayer arena right now. Like, you have to launch free to play or no one's going to play your game. There's too many games out there that are free to play where people don't have to spend money. I just get nervous about what a more egregious developer coming along would try to do to take advantage of the business model. Not to throw names out there, but Bluehost, the people who make PUBG, they are slowly putting out more content there, but massively dropping like money grabs in terms of skins, in terms of battle passes. That, like, guess what? Once the battle pass is done, you don't get to keep those skins. So like, I love the free to play model. I think the idea of challenging developer to keep updating the game to keep the money going actually is good for the consumer. But there are companies out there who, when their game gets popular, they're looking at the bottom line. They got to answer to their shareholders and stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. So it's in some of the. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because as the shift continues to happen, you're seeing more demand from gaming bases asking for free to play, and we actually recently saw
because
this.
we broke motherfuckers.
Oh yeah, we are. But it's not just that. It's like people have realized that this can work, that it can be riveting, that it can make money, and they're challenging gaming developers that are putting games out that are not following this model and that seem like a money grab. And this just recently happened with another battle royale game.
What?
The Culling was this great game that was put out. It was mostly melee fighting. I loved it. I played it for hours. I totally enjoyed it earlier on in its inception.
And they kind of Culling one.
I loved it.
You can tell that to me with a straight face.
I will tell that to you with a straight face. I really enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it later on as they started making it more and more complicated. And I didn't like, by the time it was finished, I did not like where it landed, and a lot of the community didn't either. Well, they recently released Culling 2, which was much more like Fortnite, much more like PUBG. It was more so based on firearms, a much bigger map. You're, jumping into a map. It just didn't feel like the Culling anymore.
Yeah. Well, let me go look it up on Steam real quick.
Oh my gosh. It was blasted hard. I don't think I've ever seen a game. So like the very first day it came out, and granted, they had made it so that I think their servers could hold 50 to 100 people. I don't remember if it was 50 or 100. They only had 150 people playing the day that it came out. And then the next day there was like 3 people playing. So all of the people that bought that game were basically returning it. But not only that, the community was demanding. They were saying, why is this not free to play? This game is not done. This is not ready. Why is this not free to play? That we should not have had to pay, $20 in order to participate in this. And it made a lot of sense. And initially, some of the feedback that was coming from Zabian, which made Culling 2 was, that's just not that easy to just change.
Yeah.
But what's miraculous about this is they did it.
Yeah. They, I had kind of relied on you. Like, I didn't even know the Culling 2 was going on until the backlash from the social media community happened. These guys, I cannot believe that they scrapped the Culling 2 after release. This game is no longer available to anyone on Steam. You can't get it.
Yes.
Did they refund people, or is it just like,
they did refund people?
Okay.
They were so apologetic about this. It was unbelievable. And the thing is, I don't know if that would have been the case if Fortnite had not been out there already with free to play. I really don't think it would have been the case, but people are like, why is this game doesn't seem finished. This game feels far from finished. Why are we having to pay for this?
Yeah. Do you think there's room for another big free to play game though, with Fortnite and Warframe being out there?
Not necessarily, which is exactly another reason why they brought it back. They didn't just bring it back and say, we're going to refund your money. They brought it back and said, we're going to bring the elements that everyone enjoyed, that people said that they didn't want to go away from the original Culling.
Yeah.
So they're making it free to play. When they reintroduce, it's going to be free to play. They are making it much more like the original Culling, which means it's going to be way more unique because it's more hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
Which I do think is interesting, and I don't think that there's a good market for that out there. But I feel like a big part of the pushback was because of Fortnite's success. People have seen that, no, we don't have to purchase things like this anymore and invest in things like this anymore. And I don't want to say that the game was shoddy, but it obviously was not well received by anyone outside of maybe 2 people that were like, I kind of like it on the reviews. It was very negative reviews, extremely negative reviews, like I've never seen before, actually.
Well, Fortnite comes from kind of an unfair free to play advantage with people though, because Fortnite started out as a pay to play game for what they call now like their save the world, right? So
Yeah.
people had to buy it. This is a full development cycle that was based on people purchasing the game, which a lot of people did. Because it started out as like a base building horde, like a horde shooter, right?
Hmm.
And then that wasn't working as successfully as they wanted to. And they're like, let's just try this battle royale thing out. And I was able to play it early on because I had purchased Fortnite.
Hmm.
And then they just decided, like, well, let's just release this free to play and let's see what happens. And then it took over everyone's life in the entire world,
So,
everybody.
so the only thing I would say with that is the Culling did see a lot of initial success.
Hmm.
There were a lot of copies purchased with the original release of the Culling,
Uh-huh.
and I think that with that, people were like, "Look, you already had this. Don't put out a second game that we have to purchase that isn't completed."
Yeah.
Even especially when the first one didn't land where it should have. This should be free to play. I think that that's more so where it's coming from. But what I'm getting from this is that the consumers are more aware of different tactics and different approaches to marketing and presenting a game,
Hmm.
and in ways that is a little bit less abusive on the consumer, a little bit less
Sure.
risky on the consumer. And I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I I am concerned though that in order to make a free to play game, you have to have considerable backing. So you
Yeah.
either have to have, like you said, that initial launch, like the Culling had a very successful initial launch
Hmm.
of an early access game, and then you can move into free to play. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little tricky.
Yeah. I don't know. I get weirded out by free to play games, like because you got to do a lot of things right to make it successful. You can't just say, "Well, this thing's free to play, so here's all these bugs." You've got to have a game that's like almost perfect at its core, like a
Hmm.
perfect game. Like most of the bugs are worked out, your concept's locked in, you're good to go because people are going to be investing their time because that is, a cost. Investing your time into a game is a cost.
The only thing I want to add here though is that even if an indie game, if marketed well up front, was free to play,
Uh-huh.
I think about just like the elements of wanting to participate and wanting to help.
Yeah.
I think the gaming community as a whole, you see it with like all of these charity streams and everything. The video game community as a whole does really you know bind together. And if a game is being put out there and there is work being done, and you see this all the time, even with early access, people are really appreciative of the communication that you see, like between the community and the developers.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining that an indie game could be free to play if it was done well, and that if it was responsive and interactive with its community, it could actually grow right off the bat.
Yeah. I agree with that. I'm waiting to see it because I think that I really think that free to play is one of the best avenues to go after. It's a very risky one, but
Mhm.
on the other end, who's gonna play your game if they don't buy it,
Right.
Um, have you ever been bamboozled by a free to play game?
Bamboozled?
Yeah, like, you just feel like you spend too much of your time and money on a game for something that, like, you just, like, don't buy anymore, or you don't buy into anymore. You used to, like, you bought the hype, you loved it, you're all about it, like, "This is the game, this is what I'm doing with my life."
Brian, I feel like you know the answer to this,
No, I don't.
and it's that stupid mobile game that I was addicted to at the beginning of this podcast. Yeah, I had
What?
an addiction process problem, okay? It was with Game of War, the dumbest game ever, and I did
Mm.
sink way too much money into it, and I didn't get anything out of it outside of, a couple new internet friends that I've since lost touch with. So,
That's sad. I at least wanted you to hang on to your friends.
look, it's hard for me to do that. So, but but I guess the other one would be we did play that free to play Go Fishing game, which was just
Oh my god.
awful.
Horrible.
I wanted my time back with that one.
I just wanted to set my time on fire, like, not even think about it again. Like, if I could just get, like, one of those MIB things where, like, erase your memory, I'm good with it. Like, time spent, just let me forget about it. That game was miserable.
Yeah, it was.
I think the only free to play game I kind of went in on that I really regret it because I mean I guess I don't miss the money, but I got taken for a ride with Hearthstone. Like I was all about it. I was buying packs. I get those card decks that you open up packages. They're exciting.
Look though, I don't feel like that is being taken for a ride. Mainly, I mean they're digital cards, but like if you were paying Magic the Gathering or like anything, you'd be buying card packs anyway. You
but
know,
like, if I spent like $300 on Magic the Gathering within a couple of months and I didn't play it again for the rest of my life, I would feel like I was taking for a ride, a magical ride, maybe.
Okay, touche. I agree with that.
And guess what?
Fair statement.
Magic the Gathering. When I open a pack there, I'm just sitting in my room lonely, opening up a plastic, package by myself and celebrating. Hearthstone throws a whole bunch of like gimmicky graphics in my face with sparkles and lighting effects and stuff. I'm getting pumped up for it. All right. And now I don't even play. I don't even play my druid anymore. I got him to 500 wins, Monica, and he's just sitting there all lonely now.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that you're abused in that way.
Me too. Well, I guess I don't know really what to think about. I start talking about Hearthstone and I just get thrown for a tizzy. I lose my train of thought. I don't know where I'm going. It's one of those.
We're going to break, bro.
We're going to break?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
All right. We're going to break. See you guys on the other side. Thank you for sitting through that break, Nomads. Coming back, we're going to be talking about a brand new thing coming to the esports arena. Now esports are coming to a high school near you, courtesy of PlayVS. PlayVS is bringing esports to the high schools around the U.S. in a major way, trying to turn the electronic gaming format into a legitimate school sport. Just getting done with their Series A of capital investing, collecting themselves $15 million. Mike, what do you think about PlayVS? That's a lot of money.
That is a lot. That is a very good Series A funding.
Can you break this down? Because you're a technology person, you're a startup, you're in the scene. I'm a layman. What's it mean for the Series A?
So Series A, well, you can get I forget the name of it, but like base. So before you even start the company, you can go out and attempt to get funding, but I forget the actual term for it. Series A is your first round once the company's been started. And then you can go into Series B later on. But normally, you have to. So Series A is like their initial round. 15 million is a very, very solid amount. Like anything, I think one of the companies that I worked for had got 3 million. That was pretty successful. So getting 15 is solid, especially for such a unique concept, because this company, what this company is trying to do is introduce high school esports. So they are going into high schools and they are attempting to make teams, and they're making high school esports leagues. They're currently trying to promote different students competing against other schools and taking home state titles. I mean, they're talking about even having state titles here. The future of high school sports. That's what they're saying, that this is the future of high school sports. Specifically on their site, I thought that this was funny. For schools, they're selling point is every kid has talent, skills, and brains in their own unique way, and school curriculums have adapted to reflect that. It's time sports became just as inclusive. Ooh. Welcome to PlayVS, the official high school esports league. This is the future of high school sports. So very interesting. Brian, what's the name of the group that they're pairing up with that actually already manages?
Oh, Monica, are you talking about the National Federation of State High School Associations?
I am talking about that. Oh my God, you got
NFHS? You don't know about the NFHS?
The NFHS, yes. So they're pairing up with the NFHS.
Please get your act together over there, right?
I'm sorry. I forgot the acronym. So they're pairing up with them, and they already work with high schools in order to make sure that sports are, catered to,
Right.
within academia. And so I find this fascinating. I, for a while, have wondered, especially as colleges started introducing, like how long it was going to take before, and especially as like more and more like, television channels are promoting and showing esports tournaments. Like, how long is it going to take before this becomes the norm?
Monica, I hate this. I'm not gonna lie to you.
You
I'm
hate
gonna
it?
put it out bluntly. I hate this. Hate it.
Why?
And I am someone who loves esports. I love watching. I watch it all the time. I've gone to League of Legends actual events in person. I've gone to like the regionals and stuff, or the mid-season tournaments that were internationally held. I watched the Overwatch League on ESPN a couple of days ago at the bar. At a bar, they had it up on the screen, and it was very awkward for me because the bartender said, "I can't even believe there's nerds who actually make a living playing video games." Um, but here's what I hate about it going into the high schools. Uh, think about where we were 6 months ago as a gaming culture. League of Legends was the biggest esports going around. Overwatch League was like, getting created and it's like the big deal about to happen. And Fortnite wasn't even around to be seen. And now Fortnite's the Goliath of the gaming industry is poised to take over esports in a huge way. The now we're going to be like taking this down to the high schools. We're like
Mhm.
institutionalizing these games that I don't think are right to be institutionalized. If you're going to tell me, maybe we can start a Counter-Strike league because that game's been around for like 20 years at this point. We're going to have these kids competing, playing in these esports, which by the time they get to their senior year might not be a popular esports anymore. The colleges might not want them to around. So now these kids have been working to play these esports to get scholarships and stuff. And that's their dream. And
Mm.
now they're not going to be around. Like we're setting ourselves up, to kind of come to a bad end. Things like basketball, things like football, those are deeply rooted within American culture and within the collegiate system. Esports are not. And I feel
Yeah.
like this company, PlayVS, while I think it's interesting and fascinating, I feel like they're trying to punch it too hard, too fast, where esports they are not even an established thing in terms of like popular culture, in terms of like, watching it all the time. We're going to sit down and watch this game together as a family. These are not things that I think are ready to be put into the high school system. And now, you got $15 million to play around with. Now we can try and do it. I just don't think I don't think it's a venture capitalist thing. I don't think this should come from Silicon Valley. I think this should come from organically from within the school system themselves.
That's interesting, but I feel like it has to come from somewhere, and I don't know that the school systems themselves are going to have a firm grasp on
Mhm.
how to approach something like this.
Sure.
But I do understand what you're saying. It sounds like you're almost trying to protect these kids because they might get involved in a game and think that this could be a possible career for
Yeah.
them, and yet then it's you can't just pivot from League of Legends to Overwatch to
Mhm.
whatever, like
I'm Big Mama. I'm
um
protective. You know me.
right, yeah. So I guess I do see what you're saying, but what I will say about this is that there is no way that that, that this wasn't going to happen at some point
Mhm.
anyway. I think that I wouldn't have expected to see it happening this early. Granted, it's just an idea. It just got funding. We'll see where it lands.
Nas
But
invested in this. Nas never fails. Okay.
oh my gosh. Um
You don't
but
have a New York state of mind and fail at stuff. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Kevin Lynn from Twitch invested in this. One of the founders of Twitch invested in this.
Okay. Well, that sounds like an investment in themselves as well.
All right.
But what I'm trying to say here is like with high school, if you think about like even physical education, when I was in high school, we didn't get to do cool stuff. I had to sign up for some different class each semester or quarter or semester, I think it was. And my school was pretty progressive. I mean, I was living in California. They tried to give us outs. They're like, you don't like moving your body here. We'll try to give you some things you can do that you don't have to move your body a lot doing. I did weights. I like lifted weights for a quarter or a semester. And then one semester I got to do Billy Blank's Tae Bo. We just went into the wrestling room and punched the air for like an hour. It was great. I loved it, but that was as close as I could get out of physical activity, because guess what? I didn't want to do those things. They didn't have like a climb a mountain class, which I would have signed up for.
Yeah.
And I think that this is where things are going. Esports is not going to go away.
Sure.
It is the future. So when do you bring that in then? Because if that is where things are headed, and I firmly believe that, yes, there are going to be, physical running, exerting yourself, you have to sweat sports, but for forever, assumedly, but this is also going to take shape here. And how, for kids that do want to participate in this and that do have that skill set, how do they foster that,
I do agree with that. I think I'm nervous because, video games is a consumer based market. If people are not buying these games, people are not going to be watching these games. Investors are going to go away. People, you don't sell a copy of basketball to somebody every year. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just weird for me that happens. Also, I get nervous about the time it takes to be like top tier in gaming. Like, how much time do these kids have? How much are they going to sacrifice? When people talk about going to football practice is like an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, a couple of times a week for these high school kids. Gaming is like something that is consuming to be on top. Like, it is consuming. It's constantly changing. I get nervous. Maybe if this was a 25-year-old Brian, whatever, I'm like, let's do it. Sign me up. Put those neon colors on my face. I'm going to be rooting for, the Texas Furies or something. But I get nervous for these kids now that I'm a little bit older, and I can see how, like, why are there so many venture capitalists inside of this high school sport? You're trying to make money off of these kids now. They got to make their money back somehow. They just got $15 million. It's exploitive, Monica. How dare they?
I can see, like, they are going to be sitting a lot. Their circulation probably won't be very good. There's not a lot of good health benefits to sitting around playing video games. But I tell you what, Brian,
What up?
I want to beat South Korea. And we're not going to do that unless we have a society that is focused on gaming and fine-tuning our approach to it. And you know what? They play 12 hours a day. They don't socialize with anybody,
Damn it. You hit me in my soft spot. Don't hit me in my patriotic spot. I can't hold up to that.
Oh, yeah.
How dare you? I'm trying to have an honest argument. You're hitting below the belt with me being a patriot.
Do you want to beat South Korea, Brian, or do you want to always?
I'd love to. What are these kids doing? Let's drop math. Let's drop English. These kids in front of computers all day. God.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I do think that there has to be a start to it. I don't know why a startup is the start to it. I do think that that's a little bit confusing. But if I don't understand from their website and from some articles that I've read about PlayVS, I don't really understand where they are hoping to land. Are they just fostering this? Are they paid by schools to come in and kind of curate this program for them?
Yeah.
Or are they coming in and they're just like actually, getting these kids and I don't know exactly how it's working. It's interesting. So I think it's something to keep an eye on. It's PlayVS, and I don't know.
I'm nervous about it, dude. I'm nervous. I'm excited to beat South Korea finally, but I'm still nervous.
Yeah. That's fair. I understand your concerns.
Okay.
Kids, let's just say this, okay? Because I know we got like
Give it to us.
At least 200 small children that listen to this podcast week every week. First, don't listen to this podcast. This is not for children. Second, if you are listening to this podcast right now, make sure that if you're going to be sitting all day long playing video games, that you get like a little pedal bike underneath your desk. You want to make sure your circulation's up, get some stretches in. You don't want to get hernias or any like weird things going on with your regions. So just make sure you're getting movement.
Get some movement, kids. Not the kind of movement you want, the kind of movement we need you to have.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not one for running, but at least when you have to go to the bathroom, run to the bathroom.
Do some burpees at the bathroom, okay?
Do some burpees in the bathroom while you're squat. Yeah. Don't sit down on the toilet, squat over the toilet. Make sure you're getting those exercises in.
Okay. Love you. God bless you, kids.
Stop listening to the podcast, kids.
All right, before we get out of here for the night, let's talk about one more thing.
Okay.
James Gunn getting fired by Disney. Without going into specifics of the tweets that he had, because Monica, they were a little rough. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Just in case our audience doesn't know, can you explain who James Gunn is?
James Gunn is the director of the Guardians of the Galaxy, the first and the second one. He is a director of many movies, but primarily now known in pop culture for the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. He was slated to direct the third Guardians of the Galaxy, but after some tweets were dug up from 10 years ago, Disney has decided to can Mr. Gunn, because if you're going to make racist, dirty jokes, you better be Disney and not James Gunn.
Yeah. Oh, shit. So I find this a little bit alarming. I think anything that happened 10 years ago, like I think about 10 years ago, what was Monica saying 10 years ago? I don't think I was saying racist jokes, but I would put money on the fact that I wasn't saying racist jokes, but I might have been saying some weird, dirty jokes. I think one of James Gunn's tweets was like that, I hope all of the kids have tuned out at this point, but that I've ordered them to go to bed. But that like kids were touching him in his no spot or some weird thing like that. It's like not even funny, but